Shall we have a serious conversation about Amazon FBA? How do you handle returns, satisfy customers, and minimize loss? Don't go anywhere. You're going to love today's conversation, I guarantee it. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous, if you were to ask me. If you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee, or tea, or vodka, and let's roll. In today's conversation, I want to talk to you about how to handle Amazon FBA returns, satisfy customers, and minimize loss. The first thing you need to do, you need to understand FBA return policy. Amazon FBA return policy. This is really important. So when a customer requests a refund of an FBA fulfilled item, Amazon will notify the seller via email, and funds from that sale are put on hold pending the customer's return of the item to the fulfillment center. And Amazon inspects each item that a customer sends back to a fulfillment center to determine two things. Is the product sellable and returned to your active inventory, or unsellable? In other words, there's a damage or a defect, and this has to be removed from your inventory. This is important. So in case your product is returned and deemed unsellable due to being defective or damaged, Amazon has to decide who is responsible for the damage before deciding whether the customer or the merchant is reimbursed. So this is really important to understand here. And when we talk about reimbursement, you need to understand that in the scenario that a client returns an item and Amazon refunds their order, your seller account will be charged for the value of that refund. And merchants are only eligible for reimbursements if the customer fails to return the item due to the item to fulfillment center, or if the item was determined to be damaged while under Amazon's control. Okay, this is important. It's really quintessential here, folks, to note that official FBA returns policy state that Amazon is not responsible for reimbursing merchants if the product is damaged, in other words, or no longer in a new condition due to being opened by a customer. Okay, so Amazon explains in their policy how they calculate the reimbursement amount for lost or damaged items. What about Amazon FBA return fees? Now, the thing here is that, and this is a big reality you need to familiarize yourself with. The big reality here is that Amazon's lenient return policy usually rules in favor of the customer, and in some cases, this is basically when you have something like this, the seller is responsible for paying the fees or for the return, right? This is what it is. So we call this the triple hit. So you have the shipping fee, the restocking fee, and the returns processing fee. So shipping fee, so merchants are responsible for paying the shipping fees whenever a customer returns a product to the fulfillment center. For the returns processing fee, we're talking about Amazon charging a processing fee to sellers for an item in the following categories: apparel, watches, jewelry, shoes, handbags, and sunglasses, and luggage. And the processing fee is the same amount as the FBA fulfillment for that product. You can view an updated list if you go to the website. You have that there. And you also have the restocking fee. So in cases where a return item has been opened, Amazon may charge the customer a 20% restocking fee, which will be credited to your seller account. However, if you have already received a reimbursement for the return item because it was damaged under Amazon's control, then you will not receive the restocking fee credit. Okay, so pay attention to that trifecta: shipping fee, returns processing fee, and restocking fee. Number two, you need to have a clear idea of what we talk about return condition. I spoke about it earlier, but now I want to dig a little deeper here. What is the return condition? Okay, so here are the main dispositions this is what Amazon says, in which a customer will return an item and how to best respond to each situation. So we have a sellable returns. Okay, it is sellable. So this will be automatically returned to your active inventory, no problem. So unless you are worried that the item is actually not in a sellable condition, there is nothing more you need to do at this point. Then we have the damaged returns. So there are multiple reasons why an item will be returned as damaged. It's possible that the item was damaged in an FBA warehouse, okay, prior to the shipping process to the customer. If the item was damaged in transit, then it's the fault of Amazon if the FBA worker did not pack the item well, or if it's deemed as your fault for not bubble wrapping or protecting the item before shipping it to the clients, or shipping it to even to Amazon, if we're speaking about Amazon FBA here, okay? So it could also be your fault if you send an already damaged item to Amazon. If it is your fault, then there is no reimbursement, but if Amazon is to blame, you are eligible for reimbursement. Then we have customer damaged returns. In this case, the thing is that the item will not be returned to sellable inventory. No. Customer damage does not mean that the customer bought the item, broke it, and then is attempting to return it. Customer damage means that the customer opened the item and it is no longer in new condition, okay? Sometimes the customer says they opened the item, but they never really did, and it's still in new condition. So what you want to do here is that you want to see if there is any way you can salvage, quote unquote, the item. Then you have carrier damage returns. Okay, so if the carrier, let's say the item was damaged in transit, then it's the fault of the shipping company, like UPS, FedEx, USPS, for not taking good care of the package during the shipping process. So these returns are one you should be reimbursed for, because if you think about it, this is not your fault if the item was damaged. So do not open up a removal order, as Amazon will not reimburse you for this if you request for the item to be returned to you. And we have defective returns. So this, for example, the item was returned to Amazon as defective, and so the defect can come from you, can come from the customer, can come from any initiative that the carrier took while the item was in transit. Okay, now one thing I want to say here is that the majority of accepted customer returns are requested within 30 days of the original purchase. So the main exception is after November 1st, when Amazon gives the customer an extended return window that is open until January 31st of the next year. Okay, so after a return is requested, the customer has 45 days to return the item to Amazon. But what happens is that sometimes some customers are not, they don't comply with the rules, and sellers also don't comply with the rules. So your goal here is to understand the rules so you can comply with them. Very important. Let's talk about the return problem. So the thing is, Amazon FBA returns are a problem, and you need to address them. Very importantly, FBA is the most popular fulfillment option for Amazon sellers and vendors, for that matter, because it provides a level of convenience for merchants, in addition to being trusted by customers as a fast and effective shipping methods. Okay, but there are certain things you need to be aware of, because if the FBA process is not handled properly, Amazon FBA returns can actually eat away at your profits in the long run. Okay, too many returns or defective items can also negatively impact your seller rating, and we want to pay attention to that. I'm not even talking about your ability to compete for the buy box. Okay, so here are, in our view, the top 3 considerations, the top 3 important elements you need to think about when thinking about FBA returns. You need to understand, so was the product returned by the customer? So if the product was sellable or unsellable, did it come from the customer, or was it damaged while in transit? It's important to know that, because once you know that, you can pinpoint the source of the problem and fix it for subsequent shipments. And so if you discover the issue with the products, let's say you have damages, you have, let's say if there are no apparent defects or damage, then the item will be sent back to your inventory, okay? Because sometimes people might return the item, and people might believe, the customer might believe that it is unsellable. But when you look at it, you realize that no, there's no issue. You can still sell the item, so you can put it back. And if the item is damaged or defective, Amazon will then work to evaluate who was responsible for the damage, and this takes time. The reason why you need to know the return, what we call the return trifecta. You need to know what's really going on with the product, what's going on with the Amazon reimbursement process, and what's going on in terms of whether you should ship the customer another item, or if they don't want the item anymore. And what is the carrier's responsibility? Remember that communicating with Amazon can be frustrating at times, especially if you feel like they are ignoring you. Okay, Amazon is a big company, but yeah, the thing you can do is that you can request a removal order to inspect the product yourself, and if you can determine and document that the item was wrongly flagged as defective, then you can open a support ticket to dispute the defective item claim with Amazon. Okay, you can open a support ticket within Seller Central by clicking on Help in the top right corner and then navigating to Contact Us in the new window. Let's talk about the return impact. Okay, so there are issues when we talk about FBA returns. You need to know those issues, because there goes the success of your store. There goes the credibility of your store. You want to maintain high seller rating. Okay, one thing, there are several circumstances that can complicate Amazon's FBA return process, and here are, in our view, the most frequent issues that merchants experience. First, the product was not returned. Remember that customers have 45 days to return a product to the fulfillment center after requesting a return. However, some customers may fail to return the product after the 45-day window. So that's the first problem that you might encounter as a seller on Amazon. Number two, Amazon never reimbursed you. So in the case that a customer fails to return an item 45 days after requesting a return, Amazon will charge the customer and is supposed to reimburse the merchant. So if you notice that you have not been reimbursed after that 45-day period with no return found within your returns report, then it is possible that Amazon did not complete the return on their end and failed to reimburse you. So you want to take action here. Okay. In other words, you want to contact the customer support. You want to go through Seller Central and you want to click on Help. And the third issue that can impact, you can have a serious problem here, is that Amazon is ignoring you, and this could be a big problem. I've said this before. Amazon is an online behemoth. They are a large platform, and sometimes they have a lot of clients, and they have a lot of customers calling, and you might feel like, wow, they are ignoring you. Well, why would we would like to think that Amazon will never ignore you? It is possible that delays or lost communication can contribute to a return not being resolved, and you also might have a customer returning a damaged product. What do you do? So a damaged or defective product is no longer sellable, right? And in most cases, under Amazon's FBA policy, the merchant has to eat the cost. So you have to eat the cost. So this is actually this is a biggie, because this is going to reduce your profitability here. So if you want to inspect the product yourself, you can request what I said before, a removal order to have the item returned to you. That way you have full flexibility, you have control over the whole process. You can inspect the product, you can see what really happened, and you can actually lodge a complaint if you believe that the issue was not with the product, but the issue happened either during transit or either at the Amazon's warehouses, fulfillment center, or with the customer. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Studio Kiwi Show. We are still having a conversation today about how to handle returns quickly, how to minimize loss, and how to satisfy customers if you are shipping via Amazon FBA. It's important, and this is what I want to talk to. I want to talk to you now. I want to talk to you about client interaction. This is important. There are a few steps you need to take prior to giving a refund. Okay, so when a buyer wants to return an item and be issued a refund, here is what you need to do first. You can request that the buyer send the item back to you immediately. They don't have to send it to the Amazon fulfillment center. No. So if you receive the item and it is in worse condition than it was when you sent it, you can issue a partial refund to the buyer. It is better to talk with the client first before actually sending things through Amazon. Okay, because they might complain to Amazon about you, and this is not good for your seller ratings. And if the buyers simply change their mind and doesn't want the item anymore, you can give them a full refund after they return the item to you, and the buyer will pay the return shipping cost. And again, it's all about reputation management. It's all about review management. Okay, now there are some malicious Amazon buyers who want to play games, who the scammers, or they want to complain to Amazon. They want to take you down. They want to take you down in terms of they want to take your seller rating down. Those happens, but honestly, folks, this is not the majority. This is a minority here. And the thing here is that you need to understand, if you complain to Amazon about a customer, Amazon will usually favor the buyer. This is how the platform was built. This is how it is going to continue to be managed. Okay, but there are things that you need to remember. Always use tracking on your packages. You want to ship packages with a signature required, and if you ship a valuable item, you want to purchase insurance for the shipment. You never know. Okay. And one thing you need to also do here is that you need to understand the breakdown of an Amazon FBA return, because the thing is that when if Amazon receive a returned items and they say this is not sellable, it is deducted from your inventory and you are charged for it. If they decide that it is sellable, they're adding back to your inventory. Please make sure that all the pictures and descriptions in your listings are accurate. You want to package your items well and use shipping that provides a tracking number and a signature from the recipient. I've said this before. And be aware of the removal fees. So every time you remove an item, you are charged a removal fee. So a removal order can take up to 14 business days to be completed. Sometimes it can take longer to process a removal order, depending on how active the removal period is. Okay, and we have seen in our experience that some processing times take as long as 60 days. So the return fee is 50 cents for a standard size item and 60 cents for an oversized item. The disposal fee is 15 cents for a standard size item and 30 cents for an oversized item. Let's talk about solutions. How do you actually resolve FBA returns issue? Because those are issues, right? Those are issues that can impact your bottom line, your profitability on the platform, your rating, your seller rating on the platform. So incomplete returns by the customer, failed reimbursements, lack of communication, and damaged products can all complicate the FBA return policy. But you, as a seller, need to take action. Why? Because if things go bad, you are the one who is losing the most. The client, the customer, is not losing because he or she will be reimbursed anyway, right? Amazon is not losing that much. You, the seller, you, the merchant, need to take action. And so the good news is that once you have identified a problem, you can take a few steps to solve most of the issues with FBA returns. The first thing you want to do is you want to track the return. So this is the most important way to avoid potential problems. Okay, you can also use the tracking system to manage your communication with Amazon. And in the case that the item is in sellable condition, you may want to confirm that the item has been placed back into your active inventory. This is important, and everything happens in Seller Central. Okay, and number two, you want to confirm receipt of refund. So customers should receive an immediate receipt of refund once they have initiated a return. So if your customer claims that they still have not received the refund, you want to consider opening a support ticket within Seller Central. And the third thing you want to do is to monitor your Seller Central account. Okay, it's easy to miss notification emails in your flooded inbox, so it's a best practice to regularly check all of your returns within Seller Central, especially if you are a high volume seller. Okay, so to view your FBA returns, you want to navigate to Report, Fulfillment, Customer Concessions, and FBA returns. One thing I want to say here is that in terms of tracking the return, you can do this also in the Seller Central. It's you have to open the refund notification email from Amazon and copy the order number. So in Seller Central, you want to navigate to Orders, Manage Orders, and Advanced, and you want to enter the order number from the refund notification email into the search field, and you can now see which items have been returned. Okay, and the thing here is that you want to do this again. You want to do this regularly, especially, as I said before, if you are a high volume seller. Number 7, this is last but not the least, let's have a conversation about outsourcing, because outsourcing can save you a lot of time. And so you want to think about 3PL, you want to think about third-party logistics, you want to think about outsourcing your fulfillment needs. This could be great, okay? So only relying on Amazon FBA for order fulfillment and returns can be a great initiative, a great decision for those just starting out or those for whom an authentic, consistent brand experience is not your most pressing concern. But if your business scales, if your business matures, if your business becomes big, you may want to streamline the returns process and have more control over your return inventory, right? So this is where a third-party logistics provider like ShipBob or Red Stack Fulfillment or ShipMonk comes in. They can actually fulfill your FBM, your orders, and they can save you time with a more efficient interface for managing fulfillment, returns, inventory, and communication with your customers, and doing all these things without compromising your brand. This is very important. When we talk about fulfillment, when we talk about outsourcing your fulfillment processes, we are speaking about maintaining the integrity of your brand. This is important. So when you sign up for a service like this, you're able to maintain excellent customer communication. So you can automate inventory management, order fulfillment, and of course returns, all while helping you keep your customers in the loop about the status of their orders and returns. Okay, so this includes the option to provide customers with prepaid return labels, share return tracking information, and even add integrations. Okay, those integrations will automatically text return and refund updates to customers. This is possible. You have access to a nice user-friendly returns dashboard. You can see here on the screen, courtesy of ShipBob, for example, that you have an intuitive dashboard with a designated return section that makes returns easier to track and manage, okay? And as a merchant, you can even track the status of any return from awaiting to processing to complete, and you can view all returns data from a bird's eye view. So this is really good. And you also have inventory management options. So if you outsource the fulfillment phase to a third-party logistics center, you're able to have inventory management options. Okay, so one thing you need to understand, when your customers' items are returned to a fulfillment center, you can choose to have the items restocked, held, and then forwarded to you or disposed of. And if you tag your return order as a restock, the fulfillment center will return the items to your inventory to be resold, okay? And if you choose not to have a return restock, the fulfillment center will hold the items for you until you choose to have them forwarded to you, disposed of, or restocked. So you always have flexibility, and this is really important. All right, folks, this is it for today's conversation. I was talking to you about how to handle Amazon FBA returns quickly and minimize the loss while satisfying the clients, okay? Number 1, you want to understand the FBA return policy. Number 2, you want to understand the return condition. Number 3, identify the return problems. Number 4, the impact on your FBA, the returns impact on your FBA operation. Number 5, client interaction. Number 6, solutions. And number 7, outsourcing. Thank you so much for your attention, folks. I really appreciate it. I'll see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.